This is the folk singer, and this is part 3 of Open D tuning, Simply Getting Fancy. We've practiced the Open D chord, and the tuning was covered in part 1. We also in part 1 added a 4th sound to that chord by changing the 3rd here to a 4. This is so we don't have to move around to get any different chord. And we did the same thing with the 6th string, where we have a first note, we get a 2nd note, and then by pressing down, that's behind the 2nd fret. And by grabbing the next string over the 5th string, we give the illusion of a 5th chord, and back to the 1st. And then we added a melody on a single string, the outside, or the smallest string, string 1. And then we created an octave on the 4th string and learned how to play the same melody. Notice that we don't always play the octave together. We don't always play. We play sometimes. And we fancied up the melody a little bit, like now we want to add some other ways to use octaves in this interesting tuning. The Open D tuning has a lot of strings which are the same note, so it makes it easy. Here's the D on the 13th fret. 4th note over is the same. But if we go to the 2nd and 5th, we'll get the 5th note of the scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So now we could go, instead of going, playing all the strings, the 1st and 4th down, we could go over to the 2nd and 5th and play them down. Now it'll sound almost the same if we play them on the 1st and 4th string or on the 5th string. Here's the you hear that? 1st and 4th, and then over to the 2nd and 5th. Back to the there's a 3rd way to play that octave concept. We can start with the 6th string and the 4th string, and it gives a much more bassy sound. Let's compare the 1st and 4th string on that melody. With the 6th and 4th. that bassy sound. Okay, now let's add two other things that will allow us to fuss with these various octaves, and that is another way to make the fourth chord. Here's what we were doing, is to slide up to the 5th fret and get all of the notes in a bar. And the 5th, we were working with it down here. We can slide up and get the whole chord on the 7th, behind the 7th fret. Now let's just sort of simply in this video, before we add some other things in the final video, but in this one let's simply take these 3 chord positions plus these 2 alternate chord positions and combine them a bit simply with these 3. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. Here's the outside one, and then go over to the Now, if we put those together and add a couple of other tricks, we'll get a pretty fancy version of this tune. Let's call this song Getting There. I hope that we get there by the time we've finished this video and the next. So just practice the 1st and 4th and the 2nd and 5th and then the 6th and 4th and the 4th chord and the 5th chord and then a couple other little tricks, and we'll put it all together and we'll have got there.